Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Hey, Wellness Junkies fam. Welcome to this special series of Wellness Junkies, where over the next few weeks, we're going to be shining a spotlight on women's health, specifically perimenopause, menopause, HRT, and everything in between. We are revisiting some of our favorite women's health episodes following some really exciting big news that was just released. The FDA has officially lifted the decades-old black box warnings from many hormone therapy products, marking a significant shift and how we talk about and treat midlife women's health. So this is a long overdue step towards better evidence-based care for women and a powerful reminder that the conversation around women's health is evolving. I'm your host, Amy Sherman, and in celebration, we're bringing back a few of our most loved conversations around hormones, perimenopause, and all the real life stuff that comes with it, because all of these conversations, they really matter. And I think the more we talk about them, the less confusing and isolating they feel. So grab your matcha, your coffee, or your glass of wine, and let's get into it. You're listening to Wellness Junkies,
where wellness gets real, not perfect.
Welcome to Wellness Junkies, where we try all the wellnessy things, spill the beauty tips, and have real conversations, all with a side of fun.
We're in it, learning together with you.
I'm Amy.
And I'm Katie. Let's get into it.
If you've ever felt like the wellness space is a little too much, we get it. Enter the Wellness Junkies newsletter, which gives you quick, no-fluff updates on what's worth trying, what actually works, how to make wellness feel doable. Think insider finds, expert tips with a dose of good energy in your inbox each week. It's quick, it's easy, it's a fun read. We're all figuring it out together, and our newsletter just keeps it real and not perfect. Subscribe at substack.com/@wellnessjunkies and join the community. Welcome back to Wellness Junkies. It's Amy, and I am here with a special guest of the show. Melissa is joining us today as a guest wellness junkie. So welcome to the show, Melissa. She introduced me to the amazing Dr. C, aka the Vag Doc. If you haven't seen her on TikTok or Instagram, run to her page. She answers so many of your questions about everything happening down there that we don't like to talk about. So let me give you a little bit of background on Dr. C before we get into it. So Dr. C, aka the Vag Doc, is a board-certified OBGYN with over 16 years of experience helping women feel informed, empowered, and confident in their bodies. Practicing in a busy hospital, she blends medical expertise with a warm, grounded approach to education. On her popular TikTok and social media channels, she's known as your wise, witty older sister in women's health, breaking down everything from periods to menopause with clarity, compassion, and a dash of humor. Whether she's busting myths, explaining gyne tools, explaining GYN tools.
You're good, yes.
Explaining gyne tools or guiding women through perimenopause, the Vag Docs make sure no one feels lost or alone in their health journey. And I totally agree with this. Just looking through a lot of your content as I was prepping for this episode, all the questions you answer, all the things we want to know. Why are we waking up at 3 a.m.? Why you may smell different during peri or menopause? Is there such thing as tight pants syndrome? Why do we have dryness down there? Like so many of these questions that we don't really talk about too much. So welcome to the show, Dr. C. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. You guys are can I say popping my cherry because this is my
Yes.
first.
Oh, well, that brings me so much joy. I love
Oh,
that. Well,
good.
I'm glad that we got you first
I'm
because
like a teenage girl all over again. It's all good.
you've got like close to 500,000 TikTok followers and all these followers on IG, and so many women are writing into you and asking you all of their questions. And it's just, you're so warm and inviting that it gives people, I think, people feel comfortable writing into you and they know they're getting quality, correct advice, which is helpful on social media. So let's get into it. How did you start all this? I mean, obviously, you're a well-established doctor. How did you start getting into sharing all of your wisdom on social media?
So, I mean, I've been practicing for a minute. I won't say how long because then you'll figure out closer to my age, and there's enough hair dye in my hair that you're not seeing the grays. I have kids. They're young. They're like elementary and middle school. They want to be on all this crap, but I don't let them. And I was kind of messing with them saying, what if I did a little account and we kind of experimented and saw what was gonna happen? And, there was more of my kids on there in the beginning. I have since washed them off of all of this. But I would talk about a little bit of everything, but whenever I talked about, my home base, which is women's health, all of a sudden somebody was paying attention. And I think what I realized is not planning that this would be the case, but just kind of stepping on it, that there was just not a lot of people talking about gynecology, like midlife women's health, stuff that has to do with, your vagina and your vulva and all the stuff that we may talk about with our girlfriends, but whisper when we're in a crowd. And I don't blush and don't feel shy. So I figured I can do that. I mean, I've done it for almost 2 decades. Why not do it to my camera and see what happened? And it kind of stuck.
So smart. I feel like there's so many people that are looking for answers or they have so many questions. And it's even when you're with your doctor, sometimes you just have a short amount of time and you leave and you're like, oh, I forgot to ask them. So true, right? Because it's
Yeah.
so quick and it's like they're on the books. And I think the other thing too, which is really nice, is a lot, at least my OBGYN does not really talk about menopause. Like, there's not a lot of education, it feels, in the
No.
community. And it's nice that you have the education because many OBs, like when I had a very brief conversation, she's like, "Oh, you're in menopause, take this pill." I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I need to be
No.
talked through it. I have questions. And it was like in and out.
This is like the hardest phase because, if you've had a pre-puberty or a pubertal daughter, like we all get frazzled, like have the pads, have the talk. Did they talk about it in school? Don't let them get embarrassed. And we prepare them for the start of it and we give them a lot of leeway that they're like annoying hormonal teenagers. And we let them get away with it because they're annoying hormonal teenagers. And like when you go on to the other end of it, like the yin to the yang here, and we are in perimenopause and menopause and it starts to like fall apart. Nobody has prepared you. There's no manual. I mean, look, it's getting better. Like people are talking about it, but we're still just not prepped for it. And the people that we're looking to help us are the ones going through it at the exact same time as us. So here we are, the blind leading the blind with our girlfriends, which, with my girlfriends, when we're together, it's like I do consults all night, which, whatever, as long as there's a drink, it should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. You must be very a popular person to be around in our demographic.
It's a little dicey. I mean, sometimes it's fine. I just did a fundraiser bingo night and somebody outed me, and then that was the end of bingo. I could not bingo anymore.
Oh my
um,
god.
because it was like there was like a rotation of seats next to me that was, person after person, and I have a feeling I'm gonna see some of those faces in the office, which is fine. I love it. I think it's kind of fun.
But I think it's because we're all yearning. We all have so many questions and it is like as soon as I know Dr. C, I've seen her out. We have friends in common. And if I know that she's going to be somewhere, I'm like, okay, don't bear with some of my questions, but I have so many. But it is, I think we're all feeling these feelings that we've never felt before that just seem strange. And they do get passed over like, oh, it's just perimenopause. It's just this. You're going through menopause. But it's like, okay, but is this normal? How long does it last? And why does
It's
it
normal, but it can suck bad for some people, and it's not like a problem to ask me. I don't mind it. I mean, my kids at this point are used to it. My 9-year-old is more well-versed than most middle-aged men will ever be, so I don't know what they're growing up like. I'm probably gonna pay for a therapist at some point, but, it's good. It's good to talk about it, but it's also really necessary to have like some very conversational level ammo in your head to go in. Because if you don't even know that it's possibly connected, how do you know when to bring it up? And that's a
right?
problem. Like people just don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Am I asking the right questions? or did the conversation end too fast? And if it ended too fast, you need a little bit of guidance to get back to it and bring it to a close so that they leave a woman with something that's beneficial for what they're feeling, hopefully. Hopefully.
Right. Totally. Because you're right, Melissa. I feel like it's quick, and then you're like, "Wait, I have all these other questions," and then you're writing into the portal. So, but that's why we're doing the show. We can ask all the questions. So,
Got me. I'm here.
what are like women are writing into, I'm sure, all day long, but like, what are the most popular like topics or questions you're getting in the community? What's like kind of the main?
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is there's kind of like a split. I just kind of stick with gynecology. I deliver babies. I do all of it in my real life. But on social media, gynecology is kind of like this like abyss that nobody's touched, even though we're talking about midlife more. So I get a ton of, is this perimenopause? Is this menopause? Are there any resources? How do I find somebody that's going to treat or talk to me about it? And that's the problem with that chapter is access, because it's just not something that I was trained in when I was a resident and when I was a young doc, because we were not supposed to do this. We were not supposed to treat your menopause because it was dangerous and bad, and we were just complaining and had to like raw dog it.
Hmm.
Um, and that has to do with the studies in 2004, 2005, around there, called the Women's Health Initiative. They dumped $1 billion into the most expensive study ever made. And then they flopped. And they flopped because they did the study wrong. They chose the patient population wrong. And then they had really, really bad statistical analysis. So what happened was all HRT went away overnight and all conversations and future research went away for like 15 years. It's just
Wow.
starting to ramp up. And then I have the women who are not there yet. But if there is an abscess or a boil or a cyst that you can attach to the vulva, people ask a lot about it, because a lot of women have been through it. And people get really scared of certain things like abnormal paps and herpes. So a lot of traction and discussion on those things because I think people feel really embarrassed. And I think that they feel almost more stigmatized talking about it in their doctor's office, and I know this because when people talk to me about HPV, human papillomavirus, and herpes, they're usually sobbing or embarrassed or feel shamed. But maybe the distance of the social media aspect of it makes it more accessible to kind of ask that like little dark question in the back of your head, which is a great time to ask. Um, I can't say that everybody is coming from a place of having as much knowledge about it. There are a ton of herpes bots out there. It's really fascinating. You want to stir the
Oh
pot
my
on social
gosh.
media, say herpes, and you will have the bots show up in mass. I didn't understand it at first. I kind of figured it now, but why? I don't know. But it's great. When people will ask me, I'm happy to kind of throw stuff out as long as they get that, in the social media, there has to be like a little distancing that it's not like direct medical advice. But every once in a while, I'll get like a teenager who's like, this bad thing happened, and I'm too embarrassed to like ask my mom or my
Mm.
husband. And then I'm like, this is not medical advice, but let me help you because I feel really bad that they felt that they couldn't go somewhere else and they're a stranger to me and feeling like I'm their answer.
I feel like that's such a great thing because I feel like there's a lot of people that are probably looking for that. So you have
Yeah.
a person like that, and to be anonymous a little bit, and there's no name to the face, and it's like, hey, but you're an expert, and you can kind of help me a little bit. Just gives peace of mind. So I feel like that's
Yeah.
a wonderful tool.
I mean, I signed up for this because I happen to really like patients and I really prefer female patients because they're super nice. And, they come into my office and they apologize left and right. I didn't shave. Sorry about my socks. I'm like, I don't care. It's just like, whatever. You didn't do your nails. That's like not the top of my agenda for the day. I have seen way worse than anything you could throw at me. And it's usually from the guy patient. So I'm totally fine in my lane with whatever you throw at me. But people are really apologetic and embarrassed in the office. It's like, it's wild. And these are patients, some of them I've known for like 10 plus years, and they're still apologetic. And I hope that these type of conversations and forums convince women that they don't have to apologize to ask these things. Like the chronic apologist is like It's like my pet peeve. Like, don't apologize for asking something that you don't know about your body while you're in front of somebody who may know what is going on with your body. Like, that's
Right.
what I trained and like dumped a lot of money into medical education and suffered through residency for exactly this.
Do you find that people in your office are asking those similar questions that you're getting online, or do
Yeah.
you think they're still embarrassed, or they're probably comfortable with you because you're so warm?
I think that I get it sort of depends. I think I get a lot of my, people that I've known for a while, they're coming in, we touch base, they'll find me one way or the other. And what's funny is because of social media and I kind of, separate my real world from the social media world, my patients have still found me on social media and they're like, I knew it was you. And then they'll circle back and they're like, I had no idea that we could talk about this too. I'm like, I'll talk about whatever you want. I'll tell you what I can and can't do, but this is a great opportunity. Like this is not the time to be bashful. So it's great when they, circle into me. And as I'm talking to you is about as, formal as I get in the office. That's my style. I mean, I have the lessons where you're supposed to go in and shake a hand. Hi, Mr. So and so. Hi, Mrs. So and so. I was never that person. In my training, and I'm still not that person now. So if it's comfortable to feel like you're having a casual conversation with your girlfriends when we're talking or when you're listening to me, all the better if it gets the information out that tells me what's going to be helpful for me to help you.
I love that. Okay, so let's get into some questions. So the first one I have for you, it's personal to me, so of course I have to ask you. IUD. So I got an IUD, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was during COVID, I think, because I was having, like, all the irregular bleeding and weirdness, and I was like, I don't know when I'm getting my period. I don't know what the spot," like, I'm just gonna get an IUD to, like, rein it in. So now I don't get my period, which is great, but now I'm like, I don't know where I am. Like, you don't have, like, that North Star of, like, "Okay, this is why I'm feeling this way because I'm ovulating or I'm not on," you know? So what do you tell people that are around, um our age, like, when should you get it out? Should you keep it in? I'm also doing HRT. So, like,
Yeah.
that's the one challenge I found with an IUD is, like, I just, like, don't know where I'm at.
So this is a great, great topic. What I will tell you is, all right, so what do you do if you have an IUD and you're in midlife? And is it important to take out, use, not use? Here's my deal. As somebody who has a Mirena, who hasn't seen a period since my youngest was born because I hate my own period, um, you don't have to let go of that IUD. I like to quantify my life by how many more IUDs can I get to ensure that I never have a period again, because that's my lane. I always thought my periods sucked, and I much prefer not to exist with them. They're great in our 40s and perimenopause, and just that transition point because it does a few things for you. In that midlife change, when you're like in flux and you are not getting regular cycles and not done, the bleeds can be horrendous in perimenopause. Some people will be irregular, and that's anxiety provoking. But the data shows that women in perimenopause, most of them will have one really, really bad bleed, like something that requires medical attention. Either it's a very long bleed, like weeks at a time, or a very heavy bleed that makes them anemic, something that requires attention and evaluation, which is scary. So the Mirena is actually FDA approved for menorrhagia once you have a workup and you know that you're putting it in a safe circumstance. So it's great to transition the bleeding profile that a woman can experience when the bleeding is not predictable and kind of miserable. But it's also very cool in the setting of the hormone changes because you may not be able to use the most obvious symptom, which is your period, to guide you of am I perimenopause, am I menopause? Who cares? Who cares? How do you feel? Do you feel other symptoms of low estrogen? Because the hormonal IUDs do not give you back estrogen, which is the primary source of your peri and menopausal symptoms. So you'll know if you get the mood disturbances, the night sweats, all the misery that comes with everybody's unique perimenopause and menopause profile. You'll still feel that through the IUD. And I don't treat hormones based on a number, most hormones based on a number, I should say. So estrogen, I truly just go for where is your sweet spot? When do you feel optimized? Some practitioners go for a number. Some people are looking at the data of should you treat to a number. I still am treating for symptoms. So you can use the IUD plus estrogen on top of it. So here's what's really unique about that time frame. If you go through and you add hormones in, estrogen is what you're replacing. But if you have a uterus, you need progesterone to protect your uterus so that you don't end up with something like overgrowth or, God forbid, cancer. Okay. So the IUD for most doses of estrogen, the IUD is enough to protect you and be your progesterone. If you go on higher levels of estrogen, you may need to add in oral or some additional progesterone with it, or you just may want it. But the IUD just might be enough to cover you. So
Hmm.
for me, I think the IUD is fantastic because, again, when you add in hormones, like you said you do, some women will have irregular bleeding if they're not through the change yet. But the IUD is enough to suppress the funky bleeding and cover your uterus and protect it while you're adding back hormones. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Like, why go through personal opinion? Why go through the misery of those horrible, unpredictable periods? You don't know. You're
Yeah,
like a teenager. When are they coming? I don't know. Do you want to bleed through your pants? No, you're never going
right.
to wear white pants again in your 40s.
Exactly.
You
Um,
know,
yeah, and the other thing with IUD, I have two more questions about it. Is I've never gotten it right. I've never gotten a clear answer on this. When you
okay.
get your hormones checked,
Yeah.
like when you do the blood test, whatever, does the IUD make those
Mess
results,
with it.
yeah, mess with it as if you didn't have it in? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So what you'll find if the IUD is in it, you don't have reliable progesterone because it's a progesterone cousin essentially that's in the
Hmm.
IUD that's secreting. So the progesterone is not reliable. But the estrogen, you'll see it's low. I mean, it'll have some effect potentially, but not a significant amount overall. And the testosterone, again, it's a cousin of both of those hormones, kind of runs its own trajectory. So if you're looking at hormones and hormone levels while you have an IUD, you can use them as a guide very reasonably, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But again, most of your symptoms are going to be resolved by adding in the estrogen. Some people love progesterone, some people hate progesterone. But either way, a lot of women, if they're going to entertain any estrogen, they're going to have to deal with the progesterone one way or the other. And there's a lot of ways that that can be given nonetheless, because it's a required addition in HRT if you have a uterus.
Right. That's what my doctor was very clear about when I started. I do the creams, like the testosterone and the estrogen and the progesterone orally, because she was like, you have to take that when you're taking estrogen. But what was interesting, and I'm sure you deal with this too, um, when I was doing estrogen originally, I was doing it like every day, and then my numbers were too high. And
Yeah.
she was like, it's almost too much, like too much of a good thing. You have to pare it back. So I feel like it's a constant like figuring it out.
Yeah. When people come in and we start the HRT, I have menopause or perimenopause discussions. I always tell them, like, Rome was not built in a day, but I'm here to build it. So you got to come back. And this is not a one size fits all. Like, there's going to be tweaking. Like, what I give to you would not be what I give to Melissa necessarily because you're two separate humans. And until I see how you respond on the first attempts based on your symptoms, I'm not sure which one we're going to go up or down on. And that's where it's very unique. These hormones, they can take action pretty quickly within a few weeks. I usually like to see somebody every 2 to 3 months in the beginning. Some
Yeah.
people will go shorter time intervals, but I just find that I will hit a sweet spot. And when I know it, I will usually see tears because last week, back to back, two ladies that for some they came back to me in 3 month intervals. So I must have seen them in the same week because they were both there on the same day 3 months later. Both of them hysterical crying because they're both improved. One we're
Wow.
making minor adjustments, one we're making no adjustments because she's like, I'm human again. Everything is back to me.
Amazing.
And then you know you're where you need to be. And if I'm not there, because there's some people that we've had to like work through, I learned something from the visits enough to make the adjustments because there's a sweet spot for everybody. And you just got to be patient to get there.
Right.
This station is like, I just had a hysterectomy in February. So this I'm listening to all of this and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, well, I don't get my period anymore either."
But you know what's great for you is if you had a hysterectomy, you don't have to use progesterone. You don't have, well, you can't use an IUD anyway. There's nowhere to put it. But you can use either just estrogen because we don't have to protect an organ that's not there. And I would do it as a stepwise. And then some people really like progesterone. It really works well for about 2/3 of people. So 2/3 of women on progesterone orally will feel more chill and have better sleep as a result of taking nightly progesterone because it helps them sleep a little bit more deeply. But some women just don't need it and they feel great without it. So I just had somebody just like you. I just started her on estrogen at her first visit and she had no uterus. So we saw she feels so improved, but she's like, my sleep is still kind of, I said, okay, we've optimized this. Now let's add to the recipe and see if we can make it even better. So just recently we added progesterone in and I'll find out if that's her sweet spot soon. But that's when you had a hysterectomy like you, Melissa.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I mean, this is also new to me, all of it.
Yeah.
It kind of, um, circles back to, like, not having enough time to talk to your gynecologist and me not knowing that I had these crazy fibroids and I didn't ask the right questions. We didn't have enough time until it became a bigger issue. And, but yeah, no, it's been an interesting I was so scared at first, and I feel like you said, all of a sudden, I feel like a new person. I feel
Yeah.
healed enough, and I'm, like, hoping I stay where I'm at right now because I don't even wanna say anything without jinxing it because all of the things you talked about, I'm like, "Okay, I'm kind of."
So this is kind of interesting for you. Now, do you have your ovaries or no?
I do. I do have my ovaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you having ovaries, if you weren't in menopause when you got your hysterectomy, your ovaries are still doing something. What women who have hysterectomies need to know is that they will go through menopause about 12 to 18 months earlier because of the hysterectomy than women who didn't have the hysterectomy. So, whatever your natural trajectory would have been, it could be moved up a little bit earlier. And you'll get symptoms. You won't have bleeding as a cue, but you'll feel when that time clicks. And not everybody has the same symptoms. Some women, they're like, I felt nothing. I got through menopause. Here I am. Not a thing changed. And then I have women that are like crawling on the floor, like miserable. But you'll have a sense, and your ovaries are still doing something. And when that shifts, then you'll say, now it's time to have that conversation and watch this back again.
Right. No, it's not.
So just to round out, put a fine point on my IUD question. So the bottom line is just like now, just like keep it in until whenever, and then most
Oh my
likely when I
God.
get it out, like I guess it doesn't matter whether to your point, whether I'm in menopause or not. It doesn't matter if I like quote no. It's just like probably when I get it out, I won't have a period anymore and call it a day.
Yeah. I mean, when I die, if my IUD is still in my uterus, I will not be sad. So I'm totally comfortable with that. Like my goal, don't tell my insurance company, my goal, I'm going to swap this sucker out like when I'm 11 and a half months close to menopause, just to be that stubborn woman that has one in there. So it's one less thing to stress over when I add in all the extra stuff. So that's my plan.
My friend that I was with last night had an IUD. She was the one who told me to get one in the first place. She got it out recently because she was like, it was after the 7 years or whatever, and she just didn't get one back in because she was like, it's fine, whatever." She was miserable. She was, like, spotting and bleeding, and it was so she was like, she got another one back in, and she's thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when people are like, I just want to feel natural, I'm like, FAFO. I don't know if I can curse here,
Yes,
but
you can.
you'll figure it out.
Age would you recommend? I mean, I have 2 daughters. I don't know if any of the listeners have. Like, I have 2 teenage daughters. At what age would you recommend? I have friends that their daughters are going away to college, and they got them IUDs because they just said they don't wanna have their period at school. They don't wanna
Yeah.
deal with it. It's easier. And then I kind of was like, "Really?" Like, that kind of was like, "Is that normal? Is that too young?" What is your recommendation?
So my take is every kid's different. And I think that every girl should meet a gynecologist before they need one. So what that means is before you're in any sort of predicament where they're having a medical issue or they're unprepared for whatever comes next. I think that there's never a too young time to go meet a women's health doctor in the sense that when I meet young patients, I love it before they're active and before they're miserable. We just have like a talking visit. I mean, I'm like hands off. I'm like, I will stay way over there on my stool. I will not come near you because I know I terrify you. And I know you've seen the clamps because you're looking it up on whatever the health social media you're using. And then after that, everything is unique. I think that what a girl needs is what are they mature enough for? What are they comfortable with? I don't put an age timeline on most things. I will say it's way better if they come in before they need to be there, number one. And my favorite visits, though the girls sit there looking mortified, or when their moms bring them. And what I always tell these girls is like, your mom felt comfortable enough that she's treating you with the maturity to be here. And the fact
Mhm.
that your mom brought you, like, thank God, because not all relationships are like that. She wants you to have ownership over your female health and knowledge of your female health. Because if you go learn it at the lunchroom table, I'm going to have a problem with it. And then we're going to be cleaning up some other problem later. So, this is the place for it. The fact that she gives you enough respect to bring you in, that's everything.
So last night, I'm in the kitchen cleaning up, TV's on, whatever, and this commercial comes on, and I was dying because I'm like, "Is this like Saturday Night Live skit? Like, is this real?" And it was for a BYO speculum that you can bring to your gyno's office. I feel like it was called, and I maybe Nella. It was like a more comfortable speculum that you could have
I
your
know.
own. And is that a real thing?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I've seen them probably I have not used them, but I've seen them probably in, like, the last 6 months. I've seen some of the marketing that's going into it. So, they're advocating for a disposable plastic, speculum that can click into a light source, and a speculum is kinda like a duck bill, and this has, like, membranes almost like on the side, like a plastic sheath around it. Um it's probably pretty pricey for somebody. I mean, even if it's like 20 bucks, I'd say go spend, oh god, I'm gonna get so go spend your 20 bucks somewhere else. Honestly, they're not gonna come talk to me, this company ever. Not that I do a lot of that stuff. But what I would say is I think that the tools that we have, in my office, we have metal speculums, we have plastic speculums, we have different size because we are not all built the same size down there. So, it all gets sterilized just the same as the medical equipment that's done in an operating room. I I've seen it. I just haven't seen a ton of the necessity. But if somebody felt more comfortable bringing it in, I'll use it. I have no problem with that. I
Just
think that
it's so funny that it was a commercial, and I thought, "Okay,
I
makes
know.
sense," 'cause they're saying it's not a cold metal, it doesn't hurt, it's softer. It was kind of selling me a little. I was like, "This makes sense. Why don't they use these in the office?"
I
It's like, "Look,
mean,
when I get with
the
natural
fanciest
clothes."
speculums that I have are the ones that my daughter bedazzled. So I can't speak much more to that one, but I do have a bedazzled speculum that for some reason is always in my very fancy minivan. So, I'm always prepared.
Party trick.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so here's another topic that I recently started kind of hearing about more and more. And again, question from the community. So, pelvic floor therapy, any tips for hypotensive pelvic floors? Can you explain what that means and what
Oh,
to
yeah.
do?
So, I'll settle in here.
Settle
Pelvic
in.
floor therapy is amazing. And pelvic floor therapists, I bow down because they are so specifically and uniquely trained, well beyond, honest to God, me. I mean, I operate on these areas, but they are way more sophisticated in really treating the unique muscles, ligaments, tendons, and things that go on down there. And it is such a great partnership for me because a lot of the things that go on in our pelvic floor, there's a ton of muscles. If you think about your pelvis, you're going to like never look at a cereal bowl the same way again. But if you think of your pelvis as like a bowl made of like your pelvic bones and then all these like muscles and ligaments and everything that connect it. And then on the top sits all your like uterus, ovaries, and stuff above. It's a lot of interaction that has to cooperate. And we're so good at identifying when our knee hurts, when our back hurts, send somebody to the chiropractor to physical therapy. They'll take care of it. And then the second it's a female pelvic pain issue, it's like, uh-oh, that's just what we're used to. We have pain down there. Suck it up, buttercup. But you said hyperactive pelvic floor?
Hypotensive pelvic floor.
Hypotensive pelvic floor. Okay. Hypotensive is like low blood pressure, but yeah, it's like,
Take it with a grain of salt. I don't know
um,
exactly what that means, but
so what can happen in those muscles that can cause a lot of pain is they spasm, just like you can get a spasm anywhere else. And the nerves are not cooperating, and the muscle, instead of it being like a soft, like chicken breast muscle, it feels like tense rubber bands. And
mm,
there are really great opportunities for pelvic floor therapists to work on behavioral feedback down there with certain exercises to release a lot of that, as well as improve it so that you can have better function for urinating, bowel movements, intercourse, just like not feeling the constant pain that can occur down there. So there's really obvious great times to use pelvic floor therapy. In France, every single postpartum woman gets offered pelvic floor PT, which is
wow.
unbelievable. Um, I'm not sure that we even knew that this was a thing in this country as patients until the last few years. I've had
Yeah.
a lot more women go into this field of work because I think that there's ample opportunity for it to really make the difference. Because I have seen people that would have been slapped medicine for a variety of things do PT, and that's all they need. They don't actually need the medicinal approach. They do just as good, if not better, on pelvic floor PT. So shout out to all my pelvic floor therapists.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, how does that happen? Is it just from age? Is it from having babies, stress? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So down there again, um, we had a lot of plumbing all in one spot. So we have I always tease my husband because once upon a time I said to him, there's 3 holes down there. He says, no, there's not. He thought I just peed out of my vagina. I don't know what guys are taught. Um, but all of our plumbing is down there and it's all delicate plumbing. Like it's all really thin, soft tissue organs sitting again in your cereal bowl of your pelvis. And between what we do on a day-to-day basis, we do crunches, we eat, we poop, which we push down on that area. We get pregnant, we push down on everything with a baby. We might push a baby out, we might have surgery to pull a baby up. All of this creates wear and tear on the muscles and nerves there. And as a result, they start kind of like not aging, but like getting worn down and misfiring, whether it's that the muscles aren't strong enough, or the nerves are over or under shooting, or things are just stretched out and starting to fall out. So I'll see this more commonly in smokers, chronic coughers, people with connective tissue disorder, women that have had a lot of babies or a lot of pelvic surgery. And then you'll see some people where there's a lot of other emotional components that go into it, whether they had previous emotional trauma or they are just high anxiety people and they are able to mind over matter. They're down there where they can't even initiate intercourse because their brain spasms up those muscles so strong that nothing's going to happen. So there's so
wow.
many reasons.
So interesting.
Yeah. Welcome to my day to day.
A whole day with you. I have a million questions. I feel
Oh
like
my
we could go
gosh. I mean,
hours.
I don't know what answers I got, but I'm willing to entertain it.
Okay, here's another question that I didn't even know or understand what this was, but that's my bad. Okay, but I'm going to read it to you.
Yeah.
Someone said, my OBGYN recently told me that all women lose their labia minoras in menopause, that we go down to a labia majora only. I was like, what? How do we know this? How do we not know this? If a man lost a testicle in their 50s, it would be worldwide knowledge and we would be and it would be a catastrophe for all of us. WTF.
So yeah, the disappearing labia. Yes, she's half right in what
Okay.
she's saying. So, um, all right, we're gonna do a little anatomy and physiology here. Um, if you've ever had a daughter and you've changed a diaper, you notice like there's nothing going on down there. It's just like very flat and flush and very much different than what an adult woman looks like. And those changes happen with puberty. Okay, it's all estrogen sensitive. So all of that changes and grows. They might get bigger, fuller vulva and labia. labia minora, which are the thinner lips that sometimes protrude out. They could get longer, they could get darker. I mean, all these changes. There's actually websites that are just specifically there to teach people what vulvas can look like because there's so much variety. But what happens is when your estrogen starts to drop, you're going to start to see the undoing of some of those estrogen changes that you had in puberty. And that's different for everybody. Now, when I look at somebody who has low estrogen down there, they go from having just like this normal sort of soft tissue that has like elasticity and stretch to it to kind of like a tighter tissue. Like it doesn't want to stretch. It can have a more of a shine because it's firmer and it can even look paler. So they can lose some of the pigmentation. And those are signs to me clinically that I know that we are in a low estrogen state.
Hmm.
What'll happen is you can see that the labia minora start to get shorter and flatter. Now, if somebody didn't have a significant amount of labial tissue to begin with, it can get really flush looking. So, does it disappear for everybody? No. As somebody who sees 100 vaginas a week on average, there are many octogenarian vulvas that still have labia minora. I can't say that I can compare them to what they look like when they were 30, but it does change. I mean, all your parts are changing from day one to your last day. So, to assume it's going to look the same is part of the gap in the education that we have.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But here's an interesting one. When we talk about hormone replacement therapy, and Amy, I know you said you're on progesterone and testosterone and estrogen. Estrogen comes in a bunch of different ways. And one of the more important ways that almost every woman can take, but is not offered, is topical estrogen. So, estrogen cream to use on your vulva, on your pee hole, and inside the vagina. There's a handful of reasons that a woman could not use it, which means most women could. And what happens is it reduces sort of that tightening and that low estrogen change to those tissues so that it can make sex more comfortable. It can
Hmm.
keep your vaginal moisture up. And then there's the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, GSM. It sounds like something kind of more sinister than that, but GSM is a really hot topic right now because every woman is at risk after menopause of a UTI. And a lot of those women are going to be at risk for urinary symptoms or what we call urosepsis, a UTI that lands them in the hospital. And
Okay.
what happens is we have the shortest pee hole from our skin to our bladder compared to men, who it's the whole length of their member. And when you keep estrogen on those areas, you prevent bacteria from going in, you keep your bladder happier, and you reduce the risk of infections, UTIs, urosepsis, pain with sex, bleeding with sex that's not postmenopausal bleeding, but literally just like stretching of the tissue and beating it up. I've actually fixed a lot of urinary symptoms of overactive bladder and stuff like that by just adding in estrogen topically to the outside of the vagina, which really can make a big difference on a lot of complaints. And it doesn't
Wow.
raise your estrogen level enough to go through your whole system. So that's why it is still something that most women who have reasons they can't be on estrogen can still entertain this. And actually, one of the bigger breast cancer studies just came out saying that it's really something that could be considered in women who have had even hormone sensitive breast cancers to be using topical estrogen down there as it's prescribed because it won't hurt their system or increase their risk of breast cancer or something like that, but has a lot of benefits for down there.
Wow. I have not heard about that. Is it the same kind of cream that you would use just like on your arms or whatever? Or is it a
Yeah,
different like format?
it's a little different. The one that you're using up here is like a higher potency and it's mixed with different things. Whereas when you're putting it in the vagina tissue, it's like the same tissue that's inside the cheek of your mouth, like that mucosa,
Hmm.
like that slick, shiny pink tissue. And when you use it down there, it kind of hangs out. You can put it in the vagina, you can put it on the labia, you can put it on the pee hole. Most women are prescribed it specifically for vaginal moisture and better sex. But the reality is that if you don't ask questions, you don't see where the benefit is. and all these urinary symptoms that come with it, all these risk factors that come from low estrogen down there, which also includes things like recurrent BV as well and vaginitis, improve significantly when they've looked at the studies and actually asked the questions, because we have sucked at women's healthcare studies that are in this bracket of life, this change of lifetime.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is more people are talking about it now, which is
Thank
a
God.
great thing. A great thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a couple myth or facts, and then we'll get into our wrap session. Okay. Myth or facts, can you get a yeast infection from wearing leggings all day?
Maybe. So it's possible. If you wear leggings and they're tight, and either you're not wearing undies or they don't breathe, and you just did, I don't know, hot yoga or something, and you're sweaty down there, and you just don't let that area aerate a little bit, you can increase your chance of recurrent infections. The vagina likes to breathe. It doesn't like the polyester, sort of like stretchy spandex stuff. It likes cotton. It likes nothing. Either one of those are more favorable than tight things or even butt floss, which is thongs, which basically just drags everything bad up.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
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 I
yeah.
really thought of that.
I just had a
Yeah,
feel of
butt
that.
floss just brings everything from the rear where you don't want it.
So that you
Oh,
recommend those.
I just like,
Yeah.
might as well wear nothing.
But when you wear leggings, they just look better.
if you need a thong for an outfit, if you need a thong for an outfit, you are better just wearing nothing. No lines, no butt floss dragging stuff forward.
No, and it's interesting because I have a friend of mine that won't mention names, and she doesn't wear underwear. And I'm like, why don't you just wear a thong? That's so gross. And she goes, no. She's like, she just doesn't wear underwear. She's like, it's just
Yeah.
better, feels so much better. And I'm like, I could never not imagine wearing underwear.
What's funny, I have a tween and she has a bunch of tween friends and they ask me everything. I mean, I have been in a movie theater where her girlfriend has pulled her pants open in front of her mother and said, "Do you think I'm in puberty yet?" I'm like, "Dear Lord."
Oh my
Oh my God. And she said to me once, and I actually caught it on video. She said, "So, like, what's healthier, like sleeping with or without underwear?" And I was like, do. Like, I'm actually going to look up the reasons. Like, I could just give my GYN answer, but I was like, let me see if somebody actually studied it. And the answer was yes. It's like better to air that stuff out.
I never sleep with underwear.
Yeah. And if you put the leggings on, because, you're going to go to the gym or whatever, like change it, throw some cotton undies or like throw like, I don't know, like a sundress after and just get to the shower or whatever, just so that like the sweat and the bacteria doesn't end up where you don't want it.
Right. That makes sense. I was always taught air it out at night, air it
Air
out. No,
it out.
and
Yeah. Let it hang.
her, I was wearing underwear all the time. I don't know why. And I feel like I was like always a joke. I'm like, oh my God, my mom always told me to air it out. And I
Yeah.
didn't like stop listening.
Air it
Well,
out, ladies.
women add back the undies when they have kids because when like they're breastfeeding and doing like night care and then they're half shirts up and they're running around half naked all the time, they're like, well, I don't want to be breastfeeding with like all my girl parts hanging out. And then they just forget to stop wearing that. Or maybe they're like trying to block some action from their husbands.
I
I
was
don't know.
just gonna say, I feel like my husband, if I have no underwear, then he's like, oh, this is
I know.
It's go time.
I'm out, right? You don't want to give them the wrong idea.
It's so funny with the leggings too, because I never wear underwear with leggings either, but there's always this debate online if you wear underwear with your leggings or not. I see people talking about that all the time and like polling their audience, which is hilarious. Okay, so then I think I might know this, but myth or fact, wearing cotton underwear is better for vaginal health.
I mean, unless it's a thong, yeah, I'm in agreement. Cotton breathes, it wicks, so it's pulling sweat out a little bit. So it's a combination of airflow and pulling out some of the humidity that's down there that is more beneficial than some of these more synthetic materials that exist.
Okay,
The more you
and
know. They don't teach this either into the
I
tweens.
know.
So
Any other of these questions, Melissa, before we move into the wrap session?
no, I'm just thinking, like I keep saying, I have two girls, and I feel like it's so true. It's like, okay, I'll see them like leaving for school or like back whenever, and I'd be like, oh my God, she has the lines in the underwear. I'm like, you can't wear that to school, and everyone's seeing your underwear. You need like a thong, or and here I am like giving them bad advice. So I'm glad that we just talked about
I
it.
mean, the thong, I get it. Like it's
I always wear
useful.
a thong. Yeah.
I just ruined your life. I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's funny because I always wear a thong. However, lately I found regular underwear that had cotton that was, what is it, like full underwear or whatever on Amazon because, like, I saw it online or something. And they're seamless, so you can't see anything. So I've been now gravitating towards those because they're so much more comfortable and obviously much healthier. So I'm going to
Yeah.
just buy more of those and then I'll be fine.
So this is also interesting. What we always try to figure out is there something that can be healthier if you have like a recurrent issue? And some women will get chronic infections. Some women are causing it with their butt floss, but some women just get it no matter what. So there is a company that's trying to answer that question with a product. I don't rep them or anything, but I've seen it. In surgery, when like we close certain surgical incisions, we'll put a Band-Aid that actually has little bits of like silver in it because it's antibacterial and it helps the healing more likely stay without an infection and they heal better. So this company, Hoo Ha, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, but this company, Hoo Ha, actually is making underwear that has a certain type of antibacterial metal weave in it. It feels like a normal product, but with that, they're trying to reduce the risk of infections in like, I think like an organic cotton type of a thing in order to help the area breathe and stay infection free.
Oh, it feels a good idea. And that name is hilarious.
Hoo-ha. I mean,
I
right?
mean, how
Somebody
funny
was
is that?
marketing the heck out of that.
Genius.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get into our Wellness Junkies wrap session. I'm going to ask you some quick questions, quick fire answers. Okay, what is your
Okay.
favorite wellness or beauty hack?
Wellness or beauty hack? Okay. My perimenopause symptom that is the worst thing in my entire life is my ears itch. And when I say itch, like I have thought about cutting them off. And that is not an uncommon symptom. So sometimes I'll take some vaginal estrogen on a Q-tip and stick it in my ear. And it
Oh my
helps me for a little
God.
bit.
Wow.
Other people do this. It's not just me. I don't technically like prescribe estrogen for that, but that is my worst perimenopause symptom.
I've never heard of that.
Oh
That's
my God,
wild.
itchy ears. It's the end of me. It is truly like I sit there like a dog, it's
Now
horrible.
it's making my ear itch.
I
I
know
know.
you're gonna now itch your ear and you're gonna blame me for the rest of your days that life has never been the same since this conversation. I'm
That
sorry.
is so funny. Well, I'm glad you have a little bit of a hack that helps you. So good to
Yeah.
know. Okay, 5-minute flow. So this is you are a busy woman. And by the way, thank you for sharing all your wisdom and so much time with us. You are a busy person. Just got out of your shower, dried off. You're about to go out for go out for the day, let's say. Uber just alerted you they're 5 minutes away. What are you throwing on? What's your quick beauty routine? How do you get up and out the door?
When I get up, okay, my hair, believe it or not, I just don't care. I will throw it back. I will wear a hat like 90% of the time when the sun is out. And with that, there has to be sunblock on my face. I will forego deodorant for sunblock 100%
Mm-hmm.
because I'm more vain than I care about how I smell. So sunblock, a hat, and I have one makeup palette that I can do all my makeup with plus mascara in 30 seconds. I use an Hourglass ambient light. It's got like bronze and blush and then I will throw on usually a sundress plus a bra because I'm chesty and I don't care if I have undies. So that's it. I can get out of the house in
Air it
like
out.
about 90 seconds. Just yeah, air it out. Exactly.
That
And if I
that's
just
that's
get out
the
of the
title for the
shower,
episode, by the way. Just, that's it. I love it.
you gotta air that out, especially after the shower. Don't put undies on for 20 minutes.
Oh, that's the good tip.
Or use the cold zap on your hair dryer. I say that 3 times a week in the
Oh,
office, for
really?
sure. Yeah,
Interesting.
cold zap if you gotta put them on fast.
Okay. That's
Okay,
another
so they're
hack.
great.
Here we go. Okay. Last question. How do you maintain your daily nirvana, your daily joy? How do you keep calm and
Oh god, I
serene?
go to work. I go to work. I have 3 animal children that are the best thing in my life, and they are so much harder than being a full-time OBGYN generalist who takes 24-hour calls. Mondays happen, and my husband and I are, like, high-fiving out the door. We're like, "I don't know those kids. I've never seen them. I gotta go." So work is truly my mental break. Currently, I am gardening. I'm trying not to kill plants. I'm way better at, getting healthy babies than healthy plants, and otherwise making very bad TikTok purchases because I spend too much
Oh.
time on there. That's it. That's like my lane.
And where can everybody, speaking of TikTok, where can everybody find you on TikTok, Instagram? Give us
Ah,
all the handles.
So on TikTok, I am at the Vag Doc, no spaces. You can come find me there. We will continue health class over there a few times a week so that you will not feel left behind. And on Instagram, I am at the.vag.doc. And I am just kind of like navigating my way into social media in 2025. So you can send me questions and I will do my best to throw content that is useful to you so that you can walk in and feel like you have a clue and you're not like leaving at the end of the day saying, I should have asked like X, Y, and Z. So we'll figure it out.
So thankful for that. So great. I feel like
Thank you for being on the show. We
Thanks for
appreciate your
having
time
me.
so much. This was awesome. Thanks for listening to Wellness Junkies. For more on today's episode, follow us on Instagram at Wellness Junkies Official and find us on TikTok and YouTube at Wellness Junkies. You can also head to wellnessjunkiesofficial.com for expanded show notes, product links, and more. If you love the episode, leave a review and share it with a friend. We appreciate the love. Catch you next week. Bye.